Hey there, real quick before we get into the episode, I just want to ask you a huge favor. As you know, this podcast isn't monetized, and I really hope to keep it that way. And so, what would really be awesome is if you did me the favor of passing it forward, paying it forward. Hit that share button if you want to share this particular episode, or share the entire podcast. Post it on your stories or in your social media, or share it directly with any individual that you might think would appreciate and enjoy this content. I really want to continue giving you value for free, sharing this information with you, because my mission is to help you on your journeys, right? And as I said, if you're finding this stuff helpful, chances are there's somebody else out there that will. So again, do me a quick favor, hit that share button, and let's get this message out. All right, on with the show.
Media. You have to always remember that behind that statistic, behind that number, is a human being that has a problem that they're looking to solve, right? And if you're just churning through them like a number, then they potentially will never get that problem solved, or they'll find a solution with somebody else.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about go for no. Go for no. Definitely have talked about this before in the past. I wanted to revisit this topic today because it actually continues our conversation from last episode very well. We talked about tribalism. We talked about the potential to regress into defensive patterns when we get rejected and when we get those no's. And so it's a natural conversation, right? I also wanted to talk about this topic and revisit it, of course, to give you my updated perspective, but also because of this kind of soundbite era that we live in. I definitely believe that the deeper layers, the depth of this principle, the value of it gets lost in translation, right? It gets watered down because everything just gets passed in this kind of short attention span, short form type of content. You know, you have your reels, you have a pretty quote on a pretty photo. It doesn't dive into necessarily the deeper value, the core value of this principle. And what people are left with is just this surface value of just churning through the numbers. And if you know me, if you've listened to this show, this podcast for any amount of length of time, I think that's the right saying, you know what I mean, for any length of time, you know that I am not a proponent of churning through the numbers. For two reasons. I'm not a proponent of churning through the numbers because, number one, it does a disservice to your prospective customers and or buyers, right? And I get it. There's definitely stats, there's definitely metrics you need to measure in your business so that, you know, you can see where you need to improve your process. However, you have to always remember that behind that statistic, behind that number, is a human being that has a problem that they're looking to solve. Right? And if you're just churning through them like a number, then they potentially will never get that problem solved, or they'll find a solution with somebody else. And so by just churning through the numbers, you're actually keeping your statistics very low. You're stagnating your sales and your growth, and you're doing a disservice to your prospective customer and buyer. Remember, there's a human being there, and you will actually improve your sales if you come from a place of service. The second reason why I have a gripe with this particular principle of just churning through the numbers is it actually does you a disservice. With each no, there's an actual potential lesson that you can learn. Each no is a lesson that can actually help, again, improve your sales skill and then improve your overall statistics, right? So if you're just churning through, what ends up happening is you're potentially ignoring the lessons that you can learn with those no's just to get to the yes. And I've seen this happen throughout the years in my career in network marketing, where people embrace this principle, but it's just that surface layer of the principle that they embrace. They keep churning through the numbers. Their sales haven't improved. Their business never grows because they're just churning through the numbers, and they miss out on the lessons because they've only grasped the watered down version of this principle, right? Right. So you're doing your prospective customers and buyers a disservice by churning through the numbers. You're also doing yourself a disservice. You're holding back your own growth if you don't take the time to learn and see the lesson in each no. To take us into the next part of the conversation, then, this is where we can learn, right? The no's is where we can learn. Now, there are two types of no's. The first no is the no where they're just don't want it, right? They're not ready. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter how many questions you ask, they're not going to buy your stuff, and that's okay. Those people, you can move on as long as you accept and you keep the doors open. They could potentially come back. The second type of no, this is where the real growth happens, right? If you take the time to learn. The second type of no is a no that comes from fear. These are people that are saying no, and behind that no is an unexpressed fear of not being able to afford it, an unexpressed fear of whatever you're offering not working for them, or whatever the situation, right? There's tons of different reasons why people have fear or hesitate to move forward, and they'll say no. Now, your job is to, of course, not convince them, right? Like, we don't, like, the skill of handling objections isn't, for me, I never teach it as a way to try to get somebody to do something that they're not ready to do yet, right? That's some of the problem I have. Well, that's a problem I have with some of sales strategy and sales tactics that gets taught. It's really all about, hard selling and hard closing and convincing people into buying. I never teach that, right? I never want to convince or browbeat somebody into buying something that they're not ready for. It's just not fair to them. So in terms of handling objections, for me, it's really just asking questions and exploring what it is that they're hesitant about, right? What it is that might be holding them back to potentially solving a major problem or major issue in their life. For example, I'm in health, right? Like the products that I promote is health and wellness and nutritional products. So, I'll ask a question, well, what is it that might be holding you back right now? Or what is it that you think, isn't for you? It could be a money issue. It could be they've tried so many things in the past and it won't work, right? But by exploring these things, you can get to really addressing them for them, right? Addressing it for the prospect so that it's more clear, and then that way they can take a step forward or a step backward to making a decision, right? Whatever that decision is, whether it's still a yes or a no, doesn't matter, but at least you are removing that question in their mind that actually made them say no in the first place, right? That's where the real growth is, and the better you get at that, that's the sales skills that I was talking about in the last episode, right? Yeah, you're getting no's, but if you're just churning, you're not improving your skill. You just got to improve your skill so that you get better percentages of conversion, right? And you get to improve those skills in exploring and diving deep into why somebody is saying no, right? Really, really, a lot of great value in the go for no principle. But you just got to make sure that you're getting the full picture and not just the watered down version soundbite of it that gets passed on. Because if you do, again, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing your prospective customer and buyer a disservice by not exploring it and by not really diving deep and learning the core value of this principle. Go for no. All right. So that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, you know how to get in touch with me. My new account on Instagram, Ronnie Cruz. Just look me up, you'll see. And I'll leave a link in the show notes and the description of this video. Beyond that, catch me in the next one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.